visually impaired and I help coordinate these adult events. So thank you for coming. Today we have Vicky Pruddy, and so this is part of our ongoing fall series of events. She's going to be covering non-24 sleep disorder
Oh, good.
and
Okay.
um
Sleep disorder. I think I have it. I'm going to go in my room.
okay. And I am going to Vicky, I'll let you introduce yourself. And if you need anything from me, let me know. And otherwise, I'm just going to let you take it away.
Okay, sounds good. Well, good morning, everyone. I hope
Good
everyone's
morning.
having a good start to their day. My name is Vicky. My last name is Preddy, and I'm a registered nurse educator with Vanda Pharmaceuticals. And I live in Florida on the East Coast, just south of Daytona Beach. So I know you guys probably have some race fans up there because you have your own racing, don't you? But anyway, I'm kind of near the speedway, but that's a popular site down here. But just a little quick info on Vanda. It's a biopharmaceutical company that offers education and resources for a condition called non-24-hour sleep-wake disorder. And the short name for that is non-24, and it's the word non, N-O-N, and the number 24. So, first, I wanted to start by saying thank you all for having me today. And I especially wanted to thank both Amanda and Alex for the invitation to be here. And I appreciate everyone's interest in this subject. And I also wanted to welcome two case managers that are new to Vanda. They're joining today, Caitlin and Eleni, and they are joining because they are pretty new and they are here to learn a little bit more about non-24. So I hope I give them a good overview and that they learn something like you all do. So before I start, I just wanted to let everyone know that I told you I'm a nurse educator with Vanda, so I'm not a pharmaceutical representative. There's a difference within our company. So I don't offer information about medication to treat non-24. I strictly focus on the disorder and what that's like, and offer you information about that. However, I can help you get connected with one of our case managers who can provide educational materials to you both about the disorder and about the treatment. So if that's something you're interested in, have no fear. We can get that information to you, but I won't be offering that today. So what we will learn about is what non-24 is. We'll learn about the symptoms of the disorder, and we'll learn why it happens, and you'll learn some of the miscellaneous facts about non-24. And then finally, I'll let you know how you can connect with a case manager to get those resources if you're interested. And then we'll end with Q&A and interaction. So just that let me know when, what questions you have, or if you have any of your own stories you want to share with the group, I'm open to that as well. So before I start sharing information, is there anything I need to cover before I move on? Is everybody okay? Everyone can hear me and okay.
Mhm.
All right. So let's start with this. What is non-24? Perhaps some of you have heard of it. We've been talking about this for many years now and attending different conventions around the country and in particular in South Carolina. That is an area that I go to quite frequently. But non-24 is a disorder that occurs in what is known as our circadian rhythm system. And I'll spell circadian in case you want to do your own research on that part of our body. But it's starts with a C, and it's Circadian. So it's circadian rhythm system. And our circadian system contains a master body clock that regulates the timing of various biological activities like temperature changes, our appetite, digestion, and probably the most well-known activity that is controlled by the circadian system is our sleep-wake cycle. And our sleep wake cycle or our circadian sleep cycle prepares our body to wake up when it's light outside and fall asleep when it's dark. And this is supposed to occur on a daily basis and occur within a 24-hour period of time. So that's probably something that we notice the most. We probably don't notice temperature changes. We don't. We do notice probably that our appetite is greater during the day, and we shouldn't be hungry at night. And the same thing with digestion. But sleep and wakefulness are probably the two things that we notice the most. So again, that is controlled by our master body clock. And when the master clock gets out of alignment with a 24-hour period of time, our day-night cycle and our sleep patterns are disrupted. So, what do disrupted sleep patterns look like? I think you probably know this, but it means that we're waking up a lot during the night. So we have a lot of nighttime wakefulness and lots of sleepiness during the day when it's light out. So people with non-24 will often mention that they're awake and active during the night when most people are resting and sleeping. That's pretty kind of a normal schedule, would be just the opposite of that, right? They often will state that their days include a lot of napping and a lot of strong urges to sleep when others are awake and alert and active and taking care of things that we normally take care of during the day. So those are the main symptoms of the disorder. A lot of nighttime wakefulness and a lot of daytime sleepiness. So, if you notice periods of time when you're struggling, or maybe you know somebody else that struggles to sleep at night and they're very active and they're awake at night, and they struggle to stay awake during the day, those sleep struggles may be more than just a sleep problem. It may be more than just what we might call primary insomnia or plain old insomnia. It really could be non-24. And excuse me, I don't diagnose people, and neither does anyone in our company, but that's why we spread the word. We raise awareness of non-24 because there are a lot of people struggling with it. Um, and those sleep problems could be related to non-24 rather than just to insomnia. What we learned through research is that up to 70% of people living with total blindness are affected by it, and they're experiencing the symptoms associated with it, the ones that we just talked about, the ones that I described. And that condition can occur no matter what the cause of the blindness is and regardless of age. So it can happen at birth and any time after. And it doesn't matter why someone has vision loss. Now, interestingly, we've learned over time that non-24 also can affect people with low vision. So you don't have to be totally blind to have non-24. Excuse me. And that is one of the points I want to make, and make sure that everybody knows that, because you will hear people say, "Oh, I thought I had to be totally blind to have non-24," but you don't. And again, we've learned that just over time by working with people and getting to know them and talking to them and listening to their story. In fact, there is another cause of non-24, and that's in people who are totally sighted. They will have the same symptoms, and excuse me, they are not visually impaired, but perhaps there was a traumatic brain injury or a genetic component to their non-20 the reason they're experiencing non-24. But I work only with people who have vision loss. But when I do run into people who are expressing their problems with sleeping, and they told me that they've had a traumatic brain injury or they can't sleep well, I do refer them to our support center. So um, the number one question I get, I think, tends to be, why are people with vision loss affected by non-24? So what's happening here? Well, it has to do with the master body clock. And again, that's what's found in our circadian system. So we all have a master body clock, and it's located in a small area of our brain called the hypothalamus. Really, it's just central, right in the middle of our brain. That's where our master body clock sits. Most people's master body clocks aren't exactly 24 hours long. They run a little bit longer. So remember, the master clock is controlling your sleep-wake cycle. So ideally, you want that to be controlled within a 24-hour period of time. So how does the master clock do that if it naturally runs longer? Well, what happens is our master clock requires an adjustment every day using light from the environment. So when it receives light from the environment, it kind of erases that extra time that it normally would that would normally be present. Um, and it does that when light enters our eyes and gets absorbed in light absorbing cells in the retina. And those cells take that information, that light information and the darkness information, and they communicate with the master clock by letting it know whether it's daytime or nighttime. So that's why light absorption is important, because without light perception, or in some cases with low light perception, the body clock doesn't get that information that it uses on a daily basis to make that daily adjustment. So that extra time, or I guess the extra time that the body clock has or naturally has doesn't get erased. So it will continue to run longer than 24 hours, and it remains out of sync or out of alignment with a 24-hour day. So when a misalignment develops, people report that they have trouble falling asleep and staying asleep at night. And then they have difficulties staying awake during the day. And again, those are those main symptoms. And if you have total blindness, or you have vision loss, low vision, and you're struggling with those symptoms, again, there's a very high chance or probability that your sleep disturbances are related to your vision loss. So non-24 is considered a cyclical disorder, and that's because the master clock doesn't stop running without a reset. Instead, it will continue to run on its own natural schedule, which I already told you is longer than 24 hours, and it will continually drift in and out of alignment with a 24-hour day. That's its normal schedule without a reset. But for that reason, most people with non-24 will experience the symptoms that we talked about, but they will come and go or wax and wane, but they will never permanently go away. And that's why non-24 is known as or considered a chronic disorder. And also, since we're unique individuals, we're all built differently, um, people with non-24 will experience symptoms that vary in both severity and frequency. So one person's symptoms will be different from the next person's symptoms. Some people are very similar, of course, but for the most part, everyone is different and will have symptoms that differ as well. So I think everyone would agree with me when I say that most people experience some level of sleep deprivation at some point, maybe some more than others, due to a bad night's sleep. I mean, we've all had that where we wake up feeling unrested, unrefreshed, kind of out of sorts. You don't have much clarity. Some of us feel irritable. We don't feel like socializing. A lot of things happen when we don't get a good night's sleep. It impacts us both in work and school, socially. We might not feel like being all that nice that day. But with non-24, people are affected in ways other than just feeling like they've been sleep deprived. They also, it impacts them professionally. Because the symptoms are chronic, they come and go, it may be difficult for them to um, get employment or to keep employment. It may affect them personally, so their relationships are at risk more often than it would be just if you had a bad night's sleep. And socially, sometimes they miss a lot of really good opportunities to interact socially, activities that take place during the day. They might not be able to attend something like this, even in person, would make it more difficult. So, um, a lot of things happen and a lot of things are impacted when you are constantly struggling with a sleep disturbance or a sleep pattern disturbance. And if you don't have this disorder, it's really hard to understand why someone can't just fall asleep at night. Why can't you just lay down and just relax? Put on some music. Make sure it's dark. Make sure that your bed is comfortable. They try all those things, and sometimes none of that works. So, despite all those interventions, they're still struggling. So, that kind of concludes what I wanted to share with you today. Um, if anything we've talked about describes you or someone you know, I would encourage you to get more information from Vanda, and we can send that to you in the mail. But I would also encourage you to talk to your physician because is something that um, only if you have to work close with your physician to manage this. And you would probably need to be really well armed with good information about non-24 so that you can have an intelligent and um, well thought out conversation about non-24. So I'd like to open it up now to give you all a chance to ask questions if you have them, and if you feel like sharing some of your own experiences, I'm here to listen and talk about that. So does anyone
Yeah.
want to ask me anything?
Julius, are you raising your hand?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, we can hear you.
So, with the non-24, it's kind of like circumstantial the way you break it down because, you could not have a good night's sleep because you have to wake up 3 hours later to go to work.
Hmm.
Your master clock probably never got set because you've been raised in an area where you hear gunshots all night and police sirens going by.
Huh.
You can be in a position where you feel like somebody's gonna break into your house at any moment. So I would never say that just having a 24-hour clock to make you regulate what time you go to sleep is appropriate because there's different kind of circumstances that can like alter your sleep pattern. I mean, I've had sleep deprivation before I lost my eyesight, and that's because I used to work so much that
Uh-huh.
I didn't have time to sleep. So I couldn't say that it was this or that. But now I'm in the position where I can't see all that well, so I can't rest because I feel like at any moment, somebody's gonna try to take advantage of the fact that I'm slipping right now.
Hmm.
Um, your house can get broken into. Somebody could come rape my little kids right in front of me, and there won't be a damn thing I could do about it. So, I mean, my issues are probably a little bit bigger than the normal person that you would talk to. But as far as it goes for the 24, I can't say that that affects a lot of people just because they don't have sight or that they do have sight. And like you said, I appreciate your information, but information is only good if it's coming from a place where, you're actually doing the work and not just being indoctrinated by what somebody else told you that it was.
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing, Julius. Do you mind if I kind of add to some of the things you said?
Absolutely. I like dialogue. I don't get mad
Yeah,
when somebody disagrees with me.
yeah, no, I don't disagree with you at all because you brought up a really good point that there are circumstances in everyone's lives that lead to poor sleep, a bad night's sleep. We'll just call it that.
Right.
And you named several of them. So there, and people live with all kinds of circumstances that can contribute to a bad night's sleep. And that's why it's important to, if you're going to go to a doctor and say, I think I have non-24, he or she's going to look at all of those circumstances. Again, it could be the room, it could be noises, it could be you're fearful of your environment. So there are other things that contribute to people's inability to sleep, right? There's all kinds of things. And it's important to eliminate those if you can so that you can determine whether or not your body clock is out of sync or whether it's these other issues that are causing your sleep deprivation or your bad night's sleep. So I totally agree with you that there are a lot of things that contribute to a bad night's sleep or to sleep pattern disturbances, and you mentioned quite a few of them. So
Yeah,
have you?
one other thing is now if I go to my doctor and tell them I'm having problems sleeping, all they're gonna do is try to give me a sedative that actually works to help me sleep, but it doesn't help the fact that now I don't know what's going on around me even more. So it's like, the fact is not even if the problem's not getting solved. And
Right.
not to name the fact that I'm also getting older in age where urination in the middle of the night wakes you up out of your sleep. So I can't really say in my entire life that I actually got a good night rest
Yeah.
because before I was sighted, I was working all the time in order to make sure that whenever I lost my sight, that I wouldn't be living on the street. So it's
Hmm.
like, and now that I can't see that well and I can't work, I spend most of my time just walking around and banging into stuff and uh, just trying to tire myself out as best as I can just to fall
Hmm.
asleep, just to wake up again and start all over again.
Hmm. Well, it would be important for you to if you wanted to improve your sleep, you would probably need to make a list of all the things. That's what I would suggest to make a list of all the things that you think are interfering with it and do your best to eliminate those. In fact, you brought up medications. There are a lot of medicines that will interfere with sleep. They will cause people to get up and use the restroom or just wake up, for just the side effects cause sleeplessness, not necessarily related to using the restroom, but yeah, there are a lot of things that can interfere. And one thing I wanted to point out too, Julius, is when we researched, this is for everyone, when we researched non-24, we did learn that about 70% of people with total blindness were struggling with the symptoms of non-24. So they eliminated all of those contributing factors when they were researching. So that's a pretty high percentage. So if someone is totally blind, there is a strong possibility that their sleep pattern disturbances are related to non-24 and not having that light perception and the ability to reset the clock every day. So so and that's a fact. So
Right.
yeah, so just so you know that, it is out there. There is good, strong research to support it, but there's also a lot of things that contribute to poor sleep too. So thank you so much for bringing that up. That's a good
One,
point.
one more thing, if I may. So you say you can't give out like prescriptions or like advice about prescriptions for it, but um, what would normally the care for something for somebody who had that? What would that entail?
Yeah, well, my recommendation is always number one to talk to your physician, but number two, when you go see your doctor, be armed with the information that will help you have a good, solid conversation with him, and you can get all the information you need from Vanda, and you can get information about the disorder itself, along with the treatment if you want to have that mailed to you. And you don't have to get treated for this with medication. I'm just saying that if you are
Right.
interested in knowing that, you can obtain that from us, and we don't charge anything for that. So
So
those
how
are
do
my
I?
two recommendations.
Are you guys gonna send it out because I signed up for the video, or do I gotta order that separately?
I can send it out to you. I just need to get your mailing address, and I can, however you all are used to sharing that information is how I can get that. I can call you for it, or um, if you have any other suggestions, Alex.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we can do a follow up, and I can also talk to Amanda to see
Yeah.
what would be the
Just
most
give her
efficient
my.
way to get that information.
You guys got my email address, so you could just email it to her, and we could work it out that way.
Okay,
Okay, I'll write that down
got you,
so I don't
Julius.
forget. Yeah,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Thanks. I appreciate the dialogue.
I don't have much more to do around here, so it's good to talk to somebody.
Okay, well, you'd probably enjoy talking with one of our case managers too.
Well, if they're like-minded, yeah. If they're not, then it'd probably just make me upset. But I'll give the floor to somebody else. They might have questions.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything to ask or share?
Well, I just want to say that I do have I'm visually impaired a little bit with my right side. I don't see I struggle with the peripheral and the depth perception. So I do kind of trip. But I do notice from time to time I sleep, but I'm still tired. So that's my question. uh am I not getting, I'm thinking I'm sleeping and I'm really not? Is it leveled to sleeping or what? Because my kids and my family's always is saying, well, Ron, you slept last night. Why are you still tired? Because if we take road trips or we just anything, going to the grocery store or something, sometimes I do find myself napping. And they like, why are you napping? You slept all last night. But I do, but I brought that to my physician attention that I do kind of fall to sleep sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
but she just said she thinks it's for probably the MS medication, so I'm not quite sure.
Oh, huh. Yeah. It's good that you've talked to your physician. That's the first step, really. And, maybe the physicians oftentimes will order sleep studies to diagnose sleep problems. In fact, they'll often order that to diagnose or to rule out other sleep disorders in order to diagnose someone with non-24.
Oh,
So, but I don't know you as a patient, or so I can't really offer a whole lot of information about that. But I can just say I'm glad that you talked to your doctor because that's really the first step, and that communication is important. So, but thank you for sharing that.
okay.
It's out, one other thing, I don't mean to belabor it, but with non-24, there's a lot of broken sleep. So people will fall asleep, wake up, fall asleep, wake up kind of throughout the night. So they may not get a restful night's sleep at all. And sometimes they don't really even know that that's happening. There's a lot of tossing and turning. So they don't get a lot of restful sleep. And then during the day, they're kind of doing what you were talking about, where you're napping a lot, and certain conditions will make us fall asleep more easily than others, right? Like a nice ride in the car, or maybe sitting watching TV, and so that's where those symptoms come to play in during the day because somebody didn't really get much sleep at night. So again, I'm not diagnosing you, but I'm just saying that even if you have some light perception, it could be related to your vision loss.
Okay.
So did you want us to send you some information too? So
Yes, please.
okay. And just so you all know, we have what one thing that gets sent to you is an audio book. So it's really nice. It's kind of like a Hallmark card. Those talking cards or musical
Yeah.
cards. You just open it up and it's about 3.5 minutes, maybe 4 minutes, and it will describe what non-24 is. It'll just kind of reinforce the things we talked about today, but maybe it's said in a different way and you'll understand it differently. So I like it for that reason, and a lot of people agree with me. But there's also written materials in there, so you can read it as well if you have a screen reader. So anyway, that's one of the things we said.
Okay.
Okay. I don't see your name. I see Samsung, but I know that's probably your phone.
Yes, it's Rhonda.
Oh, Rhonda. Okay. All right. So I'll make sure I get. So what I thought I would do is, do you want me to just get phone numbers and give each of them, like Julius a call and Rhonda a call? Is that okay to do that, Alex?
Um, I suppose it's up to you. I don't know, Amanda, if you're
So
around at the
we have
moment and you
phone
want to.
numbers, emails, and home addresses for the
Okay.
ABVI clients on the call. I'd want to make sure that if they're willing to confirm right now that we can share it or what you'd like us to share, I'm happy to email you afterwards, Vicky, with that information.
That's perfect.
Do you,
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Julius and Rhonda, do you want email, phone number, both to Vicky?
Yeah, you could send her my email and she can get through me on email, and then after that, when we could touch base together.
Okay.
What about
I'd
Sounds
you?
rather you call me.
okay.
Yes.
We'll share Julius's email and Rhonda's phone number.
Okay. The main thing that I am concerned about is following through. That's all that I want to make sure that you get what you expect from us. So that's why I want to make sure I get a way to contact you.
Okay.
That's it.
I appreciate it.
Yep. You're
I
welcome.
do as well.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have anything they want to ask or share?
Can I share one more thing?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, okay. So this has to do with circumstances again. And this is another question that comes up a lot. Well, what about people who live in like Alaska, where they have long periods of time and days, really months, I guess, where it's dark out? And how do they adjust? Because they're not getting any light, so they're not having that light absorption from this, from the sun. Well, they can adjust their master clock and keep it in alignment so that they sleep at night and stay awake during the day just by simulating a day-night cycle within their environment, like in their home or work. So that's another circumstance where people are exposed to a situation that may contribute to the inability to sleep at night and absorb light during the day because they are in an environment that's dark all the time. So if it's dark all the time, they just need to make sure they have lights on during the day. And those cells in the back of your eyes will absorb both natural and artificial light. So in that case, they'll be able to manage their circadian sleep-wake patterns properly. Same thing goes if it's light all the time. They have to simulate darkness at night by keeping the room very dark, blinds closed, um, using an eye, mask or something like that to make sure that they are living in darkness at night and that the master clock knows that it's nighttime and it's time to shut down and um, keep that body at rest. So, but that's another one of those circumstances that people ask about. All right, anything else?
And you said the company that you work for is named Vanda?
Yes, right. It's VANDA.
Okay, that's what I had. I
And
just
if
wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And another thing we have, if you like to go online, is we have a really nice website, and it's just NON-24. And the website's really nice. It's only about the disorder again, and it has patients who are testimonials of people telling their own stories about struggles with sleep pattern disturbances. And they actually have been diagnosed. I believe these people have been diagnosed with non-24, so they talk about what it's like to live with non-24, and what they did when they felt like they had it, how they overcame some of the challenges with the disorder. So there's also some podcasts on there. It's just a lot if you have a JAWS screen reader, you'll be just fine on there. There's a lot of good information, and JAWS can read that. So. All right. Well, that's what I wanted to share today, and I thank you all for inviting me and for letting me share this information. I hope it was useful and that you found it interesting. And if you ever have any questions in the future, just you can let either Alex or Amanda know, and I'll reach out to you.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
Yeah.
welcome.
Thank you so much. That was useful and interesting. And we'll follow up with those of you who have asked for it. And thank you so much, Vicki. This was super helpful.
Okay, you're welcome. Well, everyone have a great day.
You
All right.
too.
You as well.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Hey, Rhonda,
Yes.
were you at the Meta event
Yeah.
in Charleston? Okay, Rhonda Reddy. I remember you were ready. That's how I will always remember you. How are you doing?
Doing good. Doing good.
Good. It's good to see you again. I'm glad you came.
Yes, it's nice to see you too.
We'll get that information to her so that she'll follow up with you, okay?
Okay then.
All right.
All
All
right.
right. Bye, guys.